What's up, everybody? Let's talk some Super Bowl odds. The Kansas City Chiefs remain the favorites at plus 225 to win the whole thing, followed by the Saints at plus 500, the Packers at plus 750. This is going to be an interesting battle, okay? Green Bay against New Orleans, the battle for the 1 seed in the NFC. We look at the Saints' schedule, man. They played the Eagles and they played the Chiefs. They get the Vikings, and they also play the Carolina Panthers. Okay, now the Packers, who've kind of had an easy schedule this year, play the Lions, the Panthers, Tennessee, and Chicago. So I can see both teams finishing 13-3, which would be very important because Green Bay already beat New Orleans this year, so they would have the tiebreaker if both teams finish with the same record. Okay, so Green Bay is at plus 750 right now. I must admit, I really prefer the Saints at plus 500, especially with Drew Brees coming back and the defense flying around everywhere. Green Bay's defense kind of has been up and down, and like I said, they haven't had the toughest schedule there in the NFL. But if they get the 1 seed, man, anything is possible. Aaron Rodgers is playing like a legitimate MVP candidate. Okay, the Steelers lost to Washington, and Pittsburgh in the last few weeks, they haven't been playing well. Now, I know the schedule got all messed up because of the COVID deal and everything, and they play Buffalo next week. So at plus 800, I am not buying the Steelers. They can't run the ball. James Conner did not play last game against Washington. They had less than 30 yards rushing. That is a concern. And also, I mean, you put all the pressure on Big Ben at this stage in his career, I don't think he's going to win you a title. Okay, so they don't have Bud Dupree, they don't have Devin Bush anymore this year. They got some injuries on that defense, so I must admit I am a little worried about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are now at plus 800. They are 11-1, but you never know, man. I mean, they still have a game against Cleveland, who's 9-3, who's coming off a nice win against Tennessee. Does Cleveland have a chance to threaten the Steelers for the division crown? I don't think so, but on paper, it is possible. And Cleveland at plus 3,300, right? Same odds as the Ravens and the Colts. Who do you like better? I must admit, I still like the Colts and especially the Ravens better than the Browns because Baker Mayfield has been very up and down. He's got 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions this year. He played very, very well in the first half of this game against Tennessee. They won 40-135, but they were winning big, right? I mean, second half, Tennessee scored 28 out of the 31 points scored, right, in the second half. So that wasn't too fun to see, right? I would imagine for Cleveland fans, but they still won. If you look at their schedule, they've had some wins against some really weak teams, right? I mean, who have they really beaten this year? They beat the Colts, and basically they beat Tennessee. I still got to see a little bit more from Cleveland, even though they are 9-3. They are at plus 3,300, which I like the Ravens a lot more at plus 3,300. Okay, I want to talk about some buys, teams that I'm buying here. And you look at Cleveland plus 3,300, and you look at Miami, for instance, at plus 6,000. I think it's just too much of a drop-off right now. You know, the Dolphins, they're playing great defense. They're very good man-to-man defense, right? With Nick Needham playing well and Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. I'm anxious to see how they do against Kansas City this coming week. If they can beat the Chiefs, Miami could be a legitimate candidate to win the division. And if you win the division, anything is possible in the playoffs. So Cleveland at plus 3,300, Miami at plus 6,000. I think it's too much of a drop-off. Okay, so the value here for the Dolphins seems to be a little interesting. Okay, so my buys of the week, right? Teams that I think really have a legitimate chance of making noise. The Rams at plus 1,200. Man, that Rams defense, it is a Super Bowl caliber defense. That's just the facts, right? I mean, they're just flying around everywhere. Another defensive touchdown for the Rams in this past game against the Arizona Cardinals, a pick 6 by Troy Hill. Jared Goff played really well, 351 yards, no turnovers against Arizona on the road. So the Rams at plus 1,200, I said it and I'll repeat it. If they can show consistency on offense, they can win the Super Bowl. Seattle at plus 1,400. Now, the Seahawks, they're dropping because they lost to the Giants, right? 17-12. But you know one thing about Seattle, their defense has been playing pretty well here in the last few weeks. And if you believe that they can get it together offensively, that Russell Wilson can go back to his MVP ways, which is entirely possible, why not the Seahawks at plus 1,400? They're still 8-4. They still control their own destiny to win the division. So Seattle at plus 1,400, I think right now is an interesting buy because I see Russell Wilson playing a lot better here in the last 4 games of the season. And like I said, man, I like their defense. They only gave up 17 points. Now I know the Giants had Colt McCoy out there, but he only had 105 yards in that ball game, right? They got to clean up their run defense because the Giants ran all over them. But they've been actually good against the run for the better part of the season. Okay, the Ravens. At plus 3,300, I mean, a few weeks back, they were at plus 650. There are a lot of doubts. We know this. But I think this number is getting distorted because of the whole COVID deal, right? Lamar Jackson is coming back. Calais Campbell is coming back. I think they will get healthy here in the last couple weeks of the season. And at plus, I mean, if you're talking plus 800, obviously I'm not going there. But if you're talking at plus 3,300 for Baltimore, for a team that gets to the playoffs and generally is a very, very tough out, John Harbaugh is an excellent coach. Man, I'm buying at plus 3,300. How about Buffalo at plus 1,800? Now, the Bills are extremely intriguing because if you look at Josh Allen's numbers in their wins and Josh Allen's numbers in their losses, they're very distinct, right? He was great against San Francisco. He had 4 touchdowns, 375 yards on Monday Night Football, and the Bills really dominated that game. I mean, they dominated a very, very good San Francisco defense. Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs. It's gonna be hard to find a better 1-2 punch at wide receiver this year in the NFL. Diggs is just playing absolutely lights out. Beasley went for over 100 yards against Arizona. So the Bills, man, with their defense improving, kind of taking the ball away here in the last few weeks at plus 1,800, I think that if they get to the playoffs, I think they can get to the Super Bowl, and I think if they get to the Super Bowl, they can win. I really, really like Buffalo at plus 1,800. And finally, the Patriots at plus 10,000. This is my long shot of the week. Why? Well, is Cam Newton going to be thrown for 350 yards? He is not. He is not. He only threw for, 69 yards in this past game or something like that. But they're good on special teams. They take the ball away. Justin Herbert had 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. They got Bill Belichick, and they run the ball. There's a lot of things to like in New England, especially if they get to January. And listen, they're 6-6. I know they probably have to win their last 4 games here to go to the playoffs. But Miami plays Kansas City next week, and then they play New England. They've already lost to New England. So do not be surprised if in 2 weeks, the Pats and the Dolphins are both sitting at 8-6 with the Patriots ahead of Miami in the standings. The Dolphins right now are the 6th seed in the AFC. So that's something for you to keep an eye on. We shall see what happens. Very exciting Week 13 in the National Football League. We will talk soon. For everything regarding the world of betting, you can go to oddshark.com. Bye-bye.